Hi, my name's Kate, and I'm from Plano, Texas, but I'm here in Dallas with DPR as the PHP Women's House Manager. I definitely knew I had a problem very early on. During high school, I was definitely always trying to be in the it crowd, and being in the it crowd meant partying all the time and always trying to fit in when I was trying to fit like a square peg into a round hole. Started using around 11 and 12. Started on Adderall and weed, and then that turned into everyday weed smoking, and then stimulants, and then like 10th, 11th grade, like late 11th, 12th grade is when I started getting in cocaine in high school. Really what sent me over the edge was my toxic relationship. It was 4 years of this downward spiral, and it just kept getting darker and darker and darker. And I was doing things and saying things and becoming somebody that I never wanted to be. I was in a really toxic relationship that was definitely substance fueled, and I really knew I had a problem when I couldn't even get through a day or a week without picking up one thing or another or trading substances for shopping addiction. The reason I got so attached to my ex was because I met him in a normal environment, and at first we had a normal adjacent life. But it started with 1 week out of the month, we would go like apeshit crazy, balls to the walls, and then it started being every other week, every single day. I can't handle the come down, so I'm never gonna come down. It definitely started like many treatment centers ago, but I started putting it into motion and then relapsed, and putting it into motion and then relapsing. And I kind of was getting ready to go out one night, and I was looking in my makeup mirror, and I didn't even recognize myself. It was the worst case of body dysmorphia, but it was like I didn't know who I was looking at anymore. And I had kind of this God intervention moment where I just completely turned off that side of me, because that side of me would have landed me in a box. Relapse doesn't have to be part of everyone's story, but it was definitely a part of mine. I'm definitely a bullheaded, stubborn person, and my biggest problem at first was admitting that I was powerless over it, because I thought I had control of everything else. I had a relationship, I had a place that I had on my own, I had a car, I was like, I can't be a drug addict. I'm not on the streets doing heroin. And then I started using that. But I'm not doing crack. Then I started using that. It's like everything that I said I wouldn't want to be, I started becoming. But sober me has this huge heart that I've been hurt so many times that I hate showing it. And I was extremely the first treatment centers I went to, probably, if you looked at my record, would be awful. I've gotten kicked out of several treatment centers for behavioral issues because I did not think I was like everybody else. And dealing with the abusive relationship and the addiction on top of each other, and those be co-occurring, is really hard because you're addicted to the person just as much as the substances. And I thought I had my forever figured out. I thought I was gonna work in nightlife for the rest of my life and be with this person, and none of that was truly me. And it's hard going from being with somebody for so long to being completely sober and trying to find yourself again. Because one of the biggest part of this was finding Kate, because I hadn't seen her in many years. And it's weird because they always say you are only developed as much as when you first started using. So I'm a 9th, 10th grader, and you know how they're just trying to find themselves, but in adult form. I never lied, I never cheated, I never stole from anybody else, but the only person I was deceiving and lying to was myself. And that's why it got so worse for me, and I had so many relapses, because I would say oh, I just have a problem with cocaine, I'm gonna drink still, but I'll be fine. It always led back. And then I couldn't find any good of that, so I went to meth. And meth is like, I've talked so much shit about that when I was on coke. It's like, I lied so much to myself, and that's why my relapses kept getting worse and worse and worse. But I had to have those rock bottom moments where I didn't recognize myself to want and to drive me to get sober and get clean. Because no one comes to rehab and on a good day. Like, we really have to be like in the pits of despair to want to climb out to something better. I started to try to find treatment, and the first place I could find was a detox center that really wasn't truly a detox center because they were still prescribing narcotics. And I tried treatment center after treatment center after treatment center, but really I didn't find true sobriety and truly what felt like home until I came here from DPR. And I got recommended to DPR from a sober living house manager, and he really pushed me to come here. Being part of the LGBTQ community, there is such a small amount of us that are sober, and there's a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt, and you use substances to cope with that. You're not alone if you don't want that life, because that life is not sustainable, and you could have more, and you deserve more. And I think the drugs, especially like methamphetamine and fentanyl now coming on the scene, like, just somebody that was a poly user and methamphetamine and heroin, and especially fentanyl was one of my big ones. You never know the actual like how much milligrams are in there, and they're being pressed in shady environments. And as much as people glamorize it, it's never, it tears you apart inside and out, spiritually and mentally and physically. And it's so normalized now, like teens and tweens, and you really like don't realize how much you base your life in around your addiction. I think what surprised me the most about recovery is the difference between being dry and truly being sober and clean and free. Because there was definitely points in my life where I was dry and I wasn't using, and I thought I was sober, but I was never happy. Truly being sober, and what surprised me the most was how happy I am every single day. And the fact that, like, I never in a million years thought that I would want to become a therapist and help people. But literally just seeing the light click on in people's eyes when they truly get it and have that spiritual awakening is what drives me every day. Really coming to terms with like what I want to do with my life and what has the most impact. And I was having a conversation with another client one night, and it was really what put it into motion this time was, I was like, there's no other way that I can stay clean and sober but to make this my every single day. And service work is the most important part of this program. And I'm so lucky that I get to do that here. I just look in the mirror and I literally see that spark, and I can see it in other people and the conversations I have with people. It's just like so much love and light and positivity. And I never thought sober could be happy and do all the fun things I wanted to do and still be funny and goofy and me, but do it sober, because I always thought people loved me more when I was messed up, but truly people love me way more just for me. It's like I was always big on the party drugs and the nightlife and going out and being adored by people, because I was definitely in my teen years, in my childhood, I wasn't secure in myself. And I thought I was I thought I was the top of the top. I look back on those pictures and I look anemic, undernourished, and I don't even look like myself. But in the time, I thought I was on top of the world. I thought I was living the life of a rock star, and it's not. If you want to live a long, fulfilling, happy life, you're not doing that with substances. And truly, I mean, everywhere from like skin gets glowy, your hair and your nails, and like everything gets better. I truly cannot thank Discovery Point Retreat enough, because from the bottom of my heart, I would not be sitting here today and being able to help people and being who I truly am without Discovery Point Retreat. And I know it may sound corny, but it's the truest thing I can say, because no other treatment center is set up like this. Most are just 30-day residential stays. This is 30 days and then another 30 of partial hospitalization and then another 30. So by the time you're out of here, you have 90 days of sobriety under your belt. Your body's starting to renew. Your brain functions are better. And all this therapy you get. I wish more normal people could get this much therapy. I think my biggest one was the staff. Like, I was so nervous coming back to Ennis after relapsing, thinking that I was going to get judged or that staff was going to look down on me or whatever. But truly, it was the complete opposite. I was like greeted with hugs and greeted with smiles from the staff that was there from the first time that got to know me. And even here at the Dallas location, everybody already knew me and was so happy to see that I was okay and alive. And really just knowing that people do care about me, even when I think no one does. Because sometimes addiction can feel really alone and trapped. But just reminding myself always that I'm never alone, and there's always somebody in my corner fighting for me. And they want better for me, and that's what really kept me going. I mean, there's times where I didn't even want to get out of bed at Ennis, but I still got up every day and I still interacted with the staff and the nurses and the other clients, because nobody knows an addict like another addict does. And you can literally find so much about yourself by just getting close and helping somebody else around you. I want to be me, and I had the hardest time in life finding out who I really was, but truly this time around, I've found Kate, and I love her. I definitely know the best advice I can give somebody that's struggling with an addiction or an abusive relationship currently is to just find you. And it's going to be hard and it's going to be tough, and there's going to be days you don't want to get out of bed. There's going to be days where you don't recognize yourself. But it's all about progress, not perfection. And I had to learn that the hard way, because being OCD and a perfectionist, I thought recovery and being sober has to be a specific way and you always have to feel it. No, you're going to have cravings some days, and you're going to have those thoughts where you want to go back to where you were. But those glamorized thoughts of the good times will never truly depict how awful the bad times were. And just, it might be tough, but never forget the bad stuff, because it will drive you like jet fuel.